Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Chanakya Lokam, and I'll be moderating the webinar for you today. On behalf of Miracle, we'd like to welcome you to IBM DataPower SOMA Scripts for Auto Deployment and What Next. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Our speaker for today will be Hanu Veluri, who's the Director for Business Integration at Miracle Software Systems, and who has a vast experience with edge integration and API management. Just to give you a brief overview of what we'll be talking about today, we'll be going into a bit of an introduction about Miracle and what we do as a company, which will follow off with the IBM DataPower Appliance and what you can do for your enterprise, followed by what the challenges are in deployment and configuration management for DataPower Appliances, and how SOMA Scripts can solve those particular problems. We will have a Q&A session at the end where we will open up your mute option so that you can voice out your questions, or you can send us your questions through the chat box, which is available at the right side panel. Using those chat panels, you can send in your questions at any time. Just to give you an overview of our company and what we do at Miracle, we are a 20-year-old company. We're headquartered out of Novi, Michigan, which is about 40 miles away from Detroit. We're a 1,000-employee company with presence across 4 continents. We're present across both North America and South America, and across multiple locations in Europe, and we have a large presence in Asia as well. We have global development centers present in India, Canada, and the United States. In India, they are located in South India in Andhra Pradesh. We have been well known over the last 20 years for our hybrid on-site offshore model, which has helped us deliver affordable innovation for customers for the past 20 years. Some of the strong reasons of why we has been able to provide customer satisfaction of 100% is one has been our strong partner network. We are premier partners with IBM, SAP, Oracle, Microsoft, and many other companies as well. We have a vast industry understanding which we've covered over the years, along with a lot of accelerators and frameworks that our technical experts have been able to build along with our labs and center of excellence teams. Our global delivery centers allow us to provide all these accelerators frameworks at low cost, giving customers options for affordable innovation. As I said, we are premier partners with IBM and have been partners with them over the last 15 years. Our partnership enables us to have great technical understanding of their products and industry focus as well. Our core expertise is the integration space, and that has been our bread and butter for the past 20 years. We have over 1,200 experts working in the integration space for us, which provides great advantages to our customers. We are very efficient around the SOA space with the Enterprise Service Bus, including IBM's integration bus and other products as well. We are also very proficient in the edge integration space with the Datapower Appliance and now the upcoming edge management space as well. Our experts have also done a lot of work around the B2BI integration and the managed file transfer space and integrating commerce systems into backend ERP systems as SAP and Oracle. We have also a lot of work around the business process management space for optimization and integration. With that being said, I will give it over to Hanu Veluri, who's our speaker today.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon to all. This is Hanuman Veluri. I'm the director in business. I'm director for Miracle in business integration practice. Thanks for us giving us the opportunity to hear us for next 15-20 minutes on our session on the SOMA Scripts and some of the deployment strategies on Datapower. Just a quick introduction myself. I'm a lead architect working in Miracle from last 5-6 years and overall industry of around 17 years, helping customers on the major enterprise-wide implementations across Datapower and API management, and also being part of the center of excellence teams to provide some best practices so within the enterprises. So having said that, I just want to let's talk about some of the deployments what has been doing in Datapower today. And the audience who are very new to the Datapower, I just want to give you a slight introduction about what is the Datapower. A Datapower is an appliance from IBM, and it's a purpose-built security and integration platform for mobile, cloud, web application management interfaces, and using some SOA principles, and also working on B2B workloads. What it will do basically is it enables you to rapidly expand your scope of the IT assets to different channels and easily able to reach out to your customers and partners and employees very seamlessly. So what it will, and also one of the major advantage of it is it will quickly do some security enforcement, integrate, control, and optimize your workloads across your DMZ and intranet zones. So one of the majority of problems that today organizations and what we have seen in this the enterprise way implementations specific to Datapower, we have seen major challenges in terms of the deployments. Like once we have the appliances within the enterprise, get it configured, racked, and once we design the architecture and deploy our services, so the next question is how do we quickly migrate those services across environments in a very seamless fashion, and how do we make it more effective way of it to reduce any operational way of the efforts. So just going to the first slide, what are the different just enterprise challenges today? How do we really optimize, especially when we are dealing with the operational teams? How do we basically lower your operational costs? How to manage your across operational teams working in major implementations? Because today's focus is more on Datapower, so I'll talk on that. So how do we really take this Datapower artifacts and move from different environments, from development to QA to staging in production? Is there any way like we can automate that whole process and that reduce this the operational team effort? How do you really protect your resources? How do you control access for all these environments? That's one of the major bottleneck today what enterprises are really facing. So there are a couple of approaches just I want to put forward in this next 15 minutes days. How do we really resolve those issues more effectively in terms of coming up some kind of a script-based approaches, or is there any different approaches that today we like? So we help majority of customers and able to succeed by having or writing some of the whole migration stuff in terms of the scripts. So when I talk about the scripts, there is like there is a scripts approach that we use in Datapower called a SOMA. SOMA is nothing but it's a SOAP configuration management system of approach. What it will do is it will come up with a different kinds of scripting methodology, and it will automate your deployments using XML Management Interface. So the one who are very familiar with the Datapower, we have an XML Management Interface which listens on port 5550 that will expose to any user community where you can write scripts and invoke those scripts to have a complex deployments. And with these scripts, what you can achieve? You can able to do some runtime checks, the port status if you want to find, connections and memory, debugging, you want to do some file management, the domain management, the service configuration across environments. If you see that the way how we define the roles within the enterprise, like we have a developer community, we have a deployment community, those we don't allow the access for all the developer community not to touch the prod and prod like environment. So we want to be a little bit restrictive on the roles. So when we try to deploy these things, how do we really control those things? So we don't want to have developers to get access to the production and production like environments, but we want to have a seamless migration to those appliances. So how this should be done? So this should be easily achieved by writing the scripts approach, and that scripts can be run from outside of the appliances, any of the local system. So that's way even the developer community, you can designate a set of community as a deployment group, and those people can do all the migrations without impacting your the appliances, the production appliances. That's where you can safely secure those things, those artifacts. So the scripting approach does helps to have that kind of an advantage. So once though there is you may spend a little more effort on writing the scripts. I know it takes some time. Once we build the scripts, I think once we come up with a kind of a framework, and it's like you can do all the enterprise-wise the deployments in a very seamless fashion. So that will reduce your effort from up to 80%, and it will improve the operational efficiency. So the reason is when we do and think about this automatic way of doing the scripts, you can reduce all the manuality of errors, like where do I configure this proxy, or what kind of file I need to upload. So these kind of all the issues you can rule out, and you can deploy some of the deployment policies that will really automate your migration. So one is the effort it will reduce, and the other one is the accuracy it will build based on the scripts, and you can do some auditing and compliance, like what kind of scripts has went into production at what time and who does that. This SOMA is more powerful tool which will enable you to provide all the different Datapower extensions that will help you to do the cluster deployment with speed and control. Okay, so some of the scripts which the operational teams, which we have seen in majority of customers, is how do you control see the object status. Let's say if you want to have and understand what is the multi-protocol gateway status, is it up and some alerts, but you don't want to go into the box and see the actual object status. But you can do that being outside of the environment and can able to see the object status. How do you control the handlers, enabling and disabling? For example, if you are doing some maintenance work, and if you want to enable some of your front-side handlers, let's say MQ handlers or HTTP handlers, not to pick up the messages, you can do as well with just one click by writing a script. So as you see in the slide, I'm not going to read out all, but it will help you any kind of the activity which you do in the Web GUI that can be automated using a script-based approach. I'm just reading a couple of them, like you can do the configuration-based migration. So for example, if you want to have a configuration management and you have stored all your artifacts in some of the configuration management tool like SVCS or RCS, you can pick up those artifacts, you can automate it, and you can deploy into your respective Datapower environments. There are some backups you can take. You can enable or disable the probes. So there are different way of like the scripts that you can write and keep it in your folder, so that whenever a situation comes, it's just matter of using the right script at right time. So that way, like the one of the advantage of it is you even not to spend much effort training all the maintenance and operational teams. Just make them understand, okay, this is a script and this is what it will do. So that information is enough, and this script will take care of it. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so this slide talks about how do we really configure, what are the pre-configuration steps that you need to configure this. So basically this SOMA is really basically helpful to come up with different kinds of scripts where you can able to achieve the deployment. So moving on to the next slide, like so Chanika, you're just take me the slide on the diagram, like where it shows some port and the management. So the one which I'm talking was there is an XML Management Interface in Datapower environment where that we need to configure as a pre-configuration when you run this the SOMA script. So that's what that has been shown on the slide. How do we really configure the XML management interface? So once that is done, and as you see in the diagram, we have an XML management interface sitting on the Datapower, and which uses the port 5550, where you see the right side the URL, which will be talking to your the operational process or the scripts where you have written, and that script will talk to the Datapower appliance using this XML management interface. So that way you can able to achieve the scripts like the invocation. I mean, how basically that you need to do. There are like different approaches we have other than this SOMA, because when we start designing this the Datapower services, generally we create with the different domains within the appliance, and we want to move the services from one environment to other environment. So when we do that, some of the challenges are, how do you really control your environmental settings? Let's say from QA to INT or integration environment or SIT, my endpoints are different or my ports are different. So how do we really configure those things? So that can be achieved by having a deployment policy using this SOMA scripts. So I know we have another 5 minutes, but I'll just open for any questions. So not only this SOMA, there are like today we have a different open sources technologies are available where you can explore that. And one of the thing is the Datapower Configuration Manager. So that's one of the tools that IBM has provided. It's an open source, and that is ideally available in a GitHub. When you go to the GitHub site, you can able to see the configuration manager. And what it will do is it's also still similar to the SOMA, which I just talked, but it uses the AND scripts. The AND scripts are more flexible, and you have already pre-built AND scripts are available. So that you don't need to understand or have a knowledge of writing the AND scripts. So it's a pre-built scripts available, and you can do that. So that's way the majority of customers now are moving from SOMA to slowly to GitHub, and so once you have these scripts are written either in SOMA or in DCM, there are like other even open source technologies called the Jenkins. So Jenkins is one of the open source where you can go and do some kind of a scheduling. Let's say I want to run this particular script at so and so time. You can do that. I mean, even you reduce this manual effort. So it's a combination of Jenkins and the DCM distribution file, which the AND scripts files will come by default with that, like build file, deploy.and.xml. All these files will come to you. That will help you to really script anything you want from one environment to the other environment. And the other point, like I want to mention here, if you are working on these Datapower technologies, I think you must be familiar with something called autoconfig.cfg. So this is a configuration file. What Datapower it will do is, whatever you do in the Web GUI, it will automatically write a script within the appliance. And when you go to the file management and you see in the local folder, in the config folder, there is something called autoconfig.cfg. So that will also help you to pick up some of the scripts out of the box, and you can export that and put it in the form of a SOMA. So I would request Chanakya just to go through some of the sample requests, which I would like to show to everybody, like how a SOMA look like. So there is a sample request, a service migration. So Chanakya, I hope you're on that. So this what this will do is, I just want to put this particular format so that the audience can get a feel of it, like how the SOMA works. And this has been written using a tool called SOAP UI. I think most of the Datapower users familiarized with the SOAP UI tool, and with this tool, you can mention the format the way what you are looking. You can mention the object name, that what service, that it's a multi-protocol gateway service or web service proxy which you want to migrate, and how do your export format should be changed, zip file. So once we give this information, the next thing is it will give you the response back, saying that, okay, this is a timestamp, the response, and it will give you something called an encrypted file format, as you see in the slide. And so this particular file, text, and this was when you try to import to another environment. So let's say you want to move from QA to the production. So you run a SOMA script for exporting your artifact, like any kind of a service, form of a zip file. So you export that first, and the exported one, it will come as a zip file to you. And that zip file, you want to import it back to your, let's say, production. So you see the next following example is you can have whatever the file format you got in the previous request, use the same thing here in the next following request while you do the import. So you see the extensions here using as dp:/. That's way, like, you can just mention this input file format and give the destination where you want that particular service to be migrated. That's very simple. So once you do that, you see the response coming back saying that yes, the exported configuration has been done, and you have all the response saying that it's an appliance and this is a version, this is a firmware. That gives you a confirmation response saying that it has been exported or imported. So that's why, like, I just want to show you how the SOMA works. But similarly, you can also explore some of the GitHub and the DCM tools which has been mentioned by IBM. So any questions? I'm ready to take.
Thank you so much, Hanu. If anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and put them into the question and answer panel on the right. Or if you would like to speak, you can just raise your hand and we'll be more than happy to unmute you so that you can voice out your questions. Yes, Subhash, go ahead.
Hey, see, when you were just showing me, I got a doubt that whatever it got exported, it is in the binary format, right? Is there a way that we can modify and then do some customizations to import that objects?
Yes, we can do very well on that. So like what happens is when you export it, before you do, generally there is a way, like something called deployment policy within the Datapower. So what does deployment policy it will do is it will enable you to do some customization. For example, you want to change the backend endpoint from QA to the production endpoint, right?
Yeah.
So while you export it, so that change can be done. So that customization can be done. And there are several things like let's take about some certificates, right?
Exactly.
You have different certificates from the QA and different certificates from production. So that kind of a customization you can do from these scripts. Okay.
Okay. That's where my point is, like, if I want to import an SSL proxy profile into production, and I need to load the corresponding production certificate, where when I do it in the lower environments, it might be referring to the SIT certificate. So the combination I'm looking forward how to achieve this using the SOMA script.
Yeah.
So do you have any sample deployment policy for that scenario, like especially for SSL proxy profile?
Not in the presentation, but I'm happy to send you through email. Just share the email to Chanakya and send you more information on this sample deployment policy and how do you export your SSL proxy.
Perfect.
But one important point I think we all know is that the certificates is something that we need to be a different approach, because the certificates is not the one that we generally migrate, right? So
Yeah, that's true.
okay.
See, when I export it, it will not have any certificate as the physical copy. So it will have only the name of the certificate as a reference in the export.xml
Exactly.
or somewhere.
That's
But
perfect.
here using the SOMA script, if you export, it will be in binary format where I can't see the certificate and name where it has a reference. If I do it through GUI, and I can see that certificate name reference where I can modify manually and I can import that export.xml. But using this SOMA script, I believe as everything is showing up as a binary format, I'm little confused where I can have that reference modified and all.
Yeah, see what happens is when you do this export configuration, you can write in the request like in the sample request, whatever I shown earlier, you can mention the SSL proxy in that. So only the binary format is just to give some security on that so that nobody should modify once you do that.
Mm-hmm.
So once you got that one, yeah.
Yeah, in that case, for example, if I give that SSL proxy name, and then if I export one object from the SIT box, okay, and the zip file will have the binary formatted version. Now, when I go and use the import script, that will have the reference of the SIT certificate name, right? Where can I edit that SIT name to a production name?
Yeah, so what happens is if you see in the import, you will mention the same binary format in my example.
Yes.
So that means there is a reference already in that, but it's an encrypted format. So what you do is like when you import it, you will specify the specific production specific settings in your script, right? So what it will do is it will overwrite that particular whatever the file encrypted, it will overwrite it, and then it will import your into your environment. I'll give you an example. Like I'll send you an example so it will be more clarity for you.
Exactly. Yeah, that helps me. So I want to try one example, and later if I have any questions, I'll reach out to you. Thank you very much, Hanu. This is helpful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Subhash. Any other questions that anybody has before we close out? Perfect then. We would be more than happy if you have any questions, send out an email to clocum@miraclesoft.com, CLOKAM@miraclesoft.com, or feel free to send out an email to marketing@miraclesoft.com, and we'll be more than happy to connect you to Hanu or any of our integration experts so that they can help you out with further questions, or we can set up a one-on-one to answer your particular question. We'll be also more than happy to conduct health check workshops or digital transformation workshops to help you with your initiatives around Datapower or any of the integration products with IBM or any other vendors. We also have a very large labs and center of excellence team around the integration space, which can help you build quick pilots around any of the technologies that you're looking at and see if it can add business value to your enterprise. With that, thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope that you have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.